Hello and welcome to my easy to understand guide to the responder and audiences. This video is going to be particularly relevant for you if you are studying AQA A-Level Media Studies, as it's currently a set text on that spec. The episode for study is Series 1, Episode 1, so I'll be focusing mainly on that in this video. The episode obviously provides quite a great deal of entertainment and escapism for audiences. The genre and the narrative of crime drama is obviously quite exciting. We see cars burning, we find out about body parts being discovered. And so this is going to appeal to a lot of audiences, particularly those audiences who are fans of other crime dramas that have become popular in the last few years. The characters themselves are quite familiar and identifiable. So, we have the flawed detective. That's quite common within police procedural dramas. The working class criminals, the northern city, a lot of these elements are quite familiar to audiences, and it's something that they expect when it comes to this genre. Could also provide audiences with certain amount of information and education as well. So audiences watching this could learn about things like the criminal justice system, they could learn about police procedures. So there's a little bit of information and education offered by the series. It could also be quite relatable for audiences as well. The characters themselves, they're not sort of utopian versions of people. They're very real. They have a lot of real problems. You've got people in relatable jobs like the police. You've got people with relatable issues like mental health issues, family issues, anger issues. Relationship problems. So a lot of the things within the episode are things that audiences could identify with. A lot of audiences may also have their own family issues, their own relationship problems. They might have their own financial difficulties like him. So he could be quite a relatable character in particular. And young people may well be able to relate to some of the younger characters as well. This idea of feeling like you have no one to help you, feeling like you're alone, feeling like you have no prospects. He could very well be seen as a bit of a role model for audiences too. He does have some power and some status. He is a man that has feelings, has emotions, and he is trying to deal with them. And so some male audiences in particular may see this as someone to look up to. And he certainly does seem to try to take care of people. He looks after Casey. He protects her from violence. He gives her money and helps to try and get her out of a life of crime. And so perhaps some audiences are going to see him as a kind of heroic role model. Certainly the male-dominated cast is going to help target a mostly male audience. The fact that this was broadcast on the BBC helps to target a very British audience and a very mainstream audience. And being scheduled at 9 p.m. helps to target a mostly adult audience, probably, I guess, maybe 30 and above. But the BBC is a very popular organisation, and the fact that it's on iPlayer as well is going to help target that global audience too. The use of iPlayer as well helps to target those audiences who are using a lot of convergent technologies to watch their media products now. And it was distributed in other countries as well on Disney+, Canal+. So this use of other streaming sites helps to target that global convergent audience. Some audiences are going to find the narrative quite frustrating. The fact that the criminals keep committing crimes, that Casey doesn't get on the train and that she continues to sell drugs. The fact that, the couple at the beginning are continuing to have fights and have the police called out at the end. It's going to feel quite annoying for some audiences, but some audiences quite like that feeling of frustration. And I suppose it's worth thinking about different audiences having different reactions to the show. Female audiences may perhaps not like the show as much as male audiences. There's a lack of female protagonists that perhaps female audiences might like to identify with. Perhaps more ethnically diverse audiences might feel there's a lack of diversity within the show. It might depend on audiences' feelings about the police and about the criminal justice system in the UK, whether they are supporters of the police, whether they understand police jobs and the challenges of them. Maybe if you're working class or lower class, you might have a different reaction to the show than somebody who's more middle class or upper class. And certainly if you live in Liverpool, you might feel slightly annoyed by the kind of continued representation of Liverpool as being a centre of crime, The casting of famous actors like Martin Freeman and Ian Hart are going to bring in some of those pre-sold audiences, those fans of those actors, and perhaps make this show more kind of globally appealable. And certainly having Martin Freeman immediately on screen in the opening sequence will have helped to draw audiences in instantly if they started watching the first few minutes of the show. Some audiences will have been engaged by some of the marketing materials that were used for the show. The first look images created by Milk Productions would have helped to tease some of the content. The use of social media for marketing will have helped to target a more global audience, active audiences who like to be able to click and share, and those audiences who are enjoying things like hashtags to play on trends. Some audiences particularly like watching TV dramas that have been well renowned for their quality or their reviews, their awards, and certainly that's what would have attracted some audiences to this series. In fact, there were a lot of reviews in very well-known newspapers like The Guardian, the London Evening Standard, The Telegraph, and that would have helped to attract audiences who really like quality TV programming. At the end of the episode, we're left with some unresolved narratives about whether Carl is going to come after Carson, and this would keep audiences watching the rest of the series. So that was my easy to understand guide to Audience and The Responder. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for other videos that might be relevant for you. And if you would like a video that I don't already have, leave a little comment below and I'll add it to my to-do list.